Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into a really significant part of life after divorce, figuring out the dating scene and, well, more specifically, when and how you might introduce a new partner to your children.
Yeah,
It's a step that holds so much potential, but also comes with, its fair share of complexities.
absolutely. It's not just about your own romantic life, is it? So many people worry, and understandably so, about the impact any new relationships might have on their kids.
Mm-hmm.
We know you're probably looking for some clear, practical insights, maybe without getting totally lost in all the different opinions out there.
Right.
And that's really what we're aiming for in this deep dive.
Exactly. So we've looked at quite a range of sources, some expert advice articles, a really interesting research study, and even some pretty candid discussions from online forums.
Hey, getting different angles.
Our mission really is to pull out the crucial considerations and maybe offer some solid guidance on, the best timing and the best ways to approach introducing a new partner after a divorce.
And it's something that definitely warrants careful thought. One thing that came up in our sources is that statistically, children of divorce can be a bit more prone to certain adjustment challenges.
Right, I saw that.
And that just, well, it underscores how the decisions we make around dating and introducing new people can really have a tangible effect on their well-being.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The big question everyone asks. When is it okay to actually start dating after divorce?
Hmm,
And what we're seeing pretty much across the board is that it's less about a specific number of months past and much more about where you are, emotionally,
exactly.
readiness.
Yeah, one piece of advice, really emphasize the need to properly mourn the end of the marriage. It's not just about the legal stuff, the papers.
That's such a key point. And it links directly to how the kids will adjust, doesn't it?
How so? Well, the experts often talk about the child's ability to adapt, kind of mirroring the parent's own emotional state. They really stress doing that inner adjusting work, maybe counseling, self-reflection, just taking time before involving a new partner.
Ah, okay. So establish your own new equilibrium first.
Precisely. Get your own footing.
Now, here's something that, well, it got me thinking, maybe a bit sobering. One source pointed out that second marriages actually have a higher failure rate than first ones.
Yeah, that statistic is often cited.
And if you think about that from a child's perspective, experiencing multiple big relationship losses, that can be incredibly disruptive. It really highlights the stakes.
It really does. They talk about the crucial need for dedicated one-on-one time with your kids, especially in that first year or so after the separation.
Mm-hmm. Quality time.
Exactly. Bringing a dating partner in too soon can kind of pull focus from that vital bonding time.
Right.
And it can potentially make the kids feel more anxious or like they're, I don't know, competing for your attention.
Okay, so is there a general guideline then? Like a time frame?
Well, the general advice often suggests waiting maybe 12 months after the kids know about the divorce and you're living separately.
Okay, a year.
And then maybe another 3 to 6 months of dating someone seriously, like really seriously, before you introduce them. The core idea is making sure this new relationship has a real chance of lasting.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, after a divorce, feeling lonely, wanting that connection, that intimacy, it's totally natural.
Of course.
But one source wisely cautioned against jumping into rebound relationships, whether it's just to feel validated or maybe to, like, impress an ex or something.
Right. Bad motivations.
Yeah, that path, they say, can just lead to more hurt and maybe reinforce those feelings of inadequacy you might already be struggling with. It's about filling an internal need, not some external void.
And that ties into something someone mentioned in a Reddit discussion we saw.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Just the challenge of not only finding someone who's ready after divorce, but also being someone who is genuinely ready yourself.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's more than just, swiping on an app. It's about real emotional availability and having processed what you've been through.
Now, let's shift perspective a bit. Let's think about this from the kid's point of view.
Okay.
There is this story, it was really impactful, about a 7-year-old boy. He was worried his mom's friend would marry her,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'd just get divorced again. It just shows how aware kids are, how much they pick up on, and the anxieties they can carry about this stuff.
It really does. And that source made the point that children are often way more perceptive about adult relationships than we might give them credit for.
Yeah, they have good radars.
They pick up on the vibes, the subtle cues, even if we haven't said much explicitly.
So, okay, even if you as the parent feel ready to introduce someone, it's absolutely crucial to check in on the child's emotional readiness too. That came up multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crucial. It's not just about your timeline, is it?
Hmm.
It has to align with theirs, too, as much as possible.
Right.
And one article talked about this idea of reunification fantasies.
Ah, the hope that mom and dad might get back together.
Exactly. And the experts suggest allowing maybe 6 to 12 months for those fantasies to naturally settle down a bit before bringing a new partner onto the scene.
Because introducing someone new while those hopes are still really strong could be extra unsettling for them.
Precisely. It can feel like a direct contradiction to what they're hoping for.
And, well, nobody wants their kids feeling like there's this constant stream of new people coming in and out.
Right, the revolving door.
Yeah, that stability and routine are so important for kids, and that kind of instability can really undermine their sense of security.
Definitely. So, okay, let's say you've given it time. You feel the relationship is serious, it's stable.
Hmm.
How do you actually do the introduction? How do you make it as smooth as possible?
Well, the universal advice seems to be take it incredibly slowly.
Slow is the key word.
Yeah. One source suggested starting by just gently introducing the idea of dating to your children, in an age-appropriate way.
Hmm.
They even suggested asking for their thoughts, like what qualities they might imagine in someone joining the family. But, and this is important, without giving them veto power.
Ah, that's such a crucial distinction, isn't it? You acknowledge their feelings, make them feel heard,
Right.
but you're not putting the burden of approving your partner onto them. That's not fair.
Exactly. And like you said, multiple sources stressed, only introduce someone when you feel pretty confident this relationship has real long-term potential.
Avoid confusion, avoid potential repeated loss.
And it seems absolutely vital to keep reassuring your kids, like constantly, that they are your priority,
Always.
that this new person won't replace their other parent, and it won't diminish that special bond you have with them. Your heart's big enough, essentially.
Yeah, that's a lovely way to put it. And being open and honest again, age appropriately seems key too.
So tell them you're dating, but maybe not all the detail.
Right. Straightforward about the fact that you're dating without oversharing. It builds trust.
I thought this was a really nice touch, the idea of involving the kids in deciding what they might call your new partner.
Oh, it's thoughtful.
Yeah, it can help them feel more comfortable, maybe more ownership in a way. And they also reminded us to be sensitive to how the other biological parent might feel about names, too.
Good point. Co-parenting considerations. So the actual first meeting, any tips there?
Yeah, the advice was generally to choose a low-pressure environment, like
Yeah.
a park, maybe a casual cafe for ice cream, something short and sweet.
Neutral ground.
Exactly. And where you, the parent, are clearly present, reinforcing that existing family unit while introducing someone new in a relaxed way.
Makes sense.
There was also this example, I think, from the Washington Post where daughters wanted to meet the new partner at home, but, and this is key, they had the power to end the visit when they felt ready.
Ah, giving them some agency. I like that.
Yeah, that sense of control in the situation seems really powerful for kids.
Definitely. And for younger kids, just keeping the language really simple and direct is important, right? Avoid confusion, avoid scary unknowns, make it easy for them to grasp.
Okay, so we've covered timing, the kids' view, the intro. Let's pivot slightly to stuff that maybe isn't as commonly discussed but is still really important.
Like the legal side
And they're
and co-parenting dynamic.
exactly the practicalities.
Yeah, this is where things can get a bit intricate. One legal source pointed out potential legal ramifications.
Like with custody.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
If your ex-spouse views your new partner negatively, rightly or wrongly, it could potentially lead them to try and modify your custody agreement. It happens.
What? Good to know.
And things like alimony or spousal support can sometimes be affected too. In many places, cohabiting, like moving in with a new partner, can impact those payments.
So they could be reduced or even stopped.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely something you'd want to get proper legal advice on for your specific situation. And sometimes there might even be a legal requirement in your divorce decree or local laws to actually inform your co-parent about a serious relationship before introducing that person to the kids.
Ah, okay. So transparency isn't just good practice. It might be required.
It can be.
Hmm.
And just on a practical day-to-day level, maintaining a mature, respectful relationship with your ex becomes even more crucial when you start dating.
Right. Less conflict is always better for the kids.
Always. Open communication, mutual respect.
Hmm.
It just smooths the path for everyone, especially the children.
And the research we looked at mentioned how introducing a new partner can influence the other parent's involvement, sometimes positively, but potentially negatively too, depending on how it's all handled.
Yeah, emotions can run high.
I really liked the suggestion from one expert about perspective taking.
What was that?
Just taking a moment to flip it. Think, how would I feel if my ex was introducing someone new? How long would I ideally want them to wait?
Putting yourself in their shoes.
Yeah, it can be a really helpful way to gut check your own decisions.
That's a great practical tip.
Hmm.
Okay, now let's turn to that research study you mentioned earlier. What did it actually find about how kids adjust when, say, their mothers start dating post-divorce?
Yeah, this was fascinating. The findings from the PubMed Central study were maybe a little surprising.
Oh,
How so? Well, what was interesting is that the study didn't find a direct, significant link between the mother simply starting, continuing, or ending a dating relationship and the kid's major behavioral outcomes like acting out or being anxious or sad or even their positive social behaviors.
huh. That is surprising. You'd almost expect a more direct cause and effect.
Right. But what they did find was that the quality of the bond, the rapport between the mother and child played a huge role. It acted as a moderator.
Okay, explain moderator.
So, for example, when a mother's dating relationship ended, kids who had a stronger, closer relationship with their mom tended to show fewer of those acting out, externalizing behaviors.
So that strong connection acts like a buffer, a sort of emotional safety net for the child during a tricky transition.
Exactly. That seems to be the interpretation. And conversely, a stronger mother-child bond, when combined with the mother being in a dating relationship for a longer time, was actually linked to more pro-social behaviors in the kids.
Interesting. So a secure base at home allows them to flourish even as the family structure changes around them.
It suggests that, yeah. The researchers also thought this mother-child rapport might influence other things too, like how parental conflict impacts kids or the parenting styles used.
And they did point out, quite rightly, that kids at different ages and developmental stages will understand and react differently. It's complex.
Definitely. But it was also encouraging that the study found that just the passage of time itself seemed linked to a decrease in kids' acting out behaviors. Like, they do adjust eventually as they get used to the new normal.
That's good to hear. Any other key findings?
Yes, one more. When mothers reported having higher quality dating relationships, like supportive, healthy ones, their children tended to show fewer internalizing behaviors, less anxiety or sadness.
So when the parent is in a good place in their relationship, it has positive emotional ripple effects for the kids too.
It seems so. But the researchers were careful to say these dating transitions themselves might not be as directly impactful as bigger changes like, say, moving in with someone or getting remarried.
Okay, that distinction makes sense. Now let's talk warnings. What are some of those red flags people should maybe watch out for in a potential partner before even getting close to an introduction?
Right, important stuff. One article gives some really good examples, like if a new partner is pushing really hard to meet your kids super early on.
Too eager.
Yeah, or if they just don't seem to get that your kids have to be your number one priority.
Big one.
Or maybe their ideas about parenting are just way off from yours. Or perhaps they have major unresolved drama with their own kids. Those are all things to pay close attention to.
Definitely pause-worthy moments. And it really comes back to trusting your own gut, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Taking the time you need to really get to know someone on their own terms before you even think about bringing your kids into the mix.
For sure. And one source made such an astute point. Kids often have this incredible intuition, like a bullshit radar, they called it.
Ha! Yes, I remember that.
If your kids are consistently having a really negative reaction to someone, maybe, just maybe, it's worth stepping back and wondering if there's something you're missing.
That's really wise advice, and it echoes what another expert said. Slow down, slow down.
Yes, that initial period after divorce, it should really be about healing, grounding yourself, finding your own equilibrium first.
And that expert also warned against, accidentally repeating unhealthy relationship patterns by rushing into something new without that self-reflection, understanding what maybe went wrong before.
So important. They also touched on something really sensitive, the risk of undervaluing yourself when you're dating as a parent, feeling like you have to settle.
Yeah, that pressure.
But recognizing your own worth, finding your own rhythm, it's crucial.
And finally, just briefly, one expert mentioned that healthy relationships after divorce don't all have to look the same, right?
Yeah, they don't necessarily have to follow that traditional script of cohabitation or marriage straight away or ever.
It's about being open to what actually works for you and your family now and being clear about those needs.
Exactly. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, What do you feel are the absolute core takeaways for someone listening?
Well, it seems abundantly clear that prioritizing emotional readiness, both your own and your child's, is just fundamental.
Absolutely number one.
Rushing this process, it just rarely seems to end well, especially for the kids.
And taking that gradual, thoughtful approach to any introductions seems universally recommended, giving kids the time and space they need.
Right. And the research really underscored the protective power of that strong parent-child bond through it all. Nurturing that connection is key.
Definitely. And we can't forget the practical stuff, the legal angles, the co-parenting dynamics. Those need attention too.
And ultimately, trust your instincts. Trust your gut feeling. If something feels off, pay attention.
Yeah. And for you listening, please remember this is such a personal journey. There really isn't one single right answer or timeline that fits everyone.
Not at all.
We really hope you can take some time to reflect on your own unique situation, think about your children's individual personalities and needs, and just the overall health and quality of your relationships.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. Considering everything we've talked about today, what feels like the most crucial element for you personally to focus on as you navigate dating after divorce and think about potentially introducing someone new to your children?
And of course, if you want to dig deeper into any of this, please do check out the source materials we drew from, or maybe seek support from therapists or counselors who specialize in this area.
Ultimately, with that careful thought and a real focus on your children's well-being, navigating the space successfully really is possible. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.